the treasurer of Ghana's Olympic Committee. Mr. Yeboah, thank you so much for joining us. Good morning. How are you doing?
Morning. Pleasure is all mine. And good morning to our listeners.
Thank you so much for joining us. We'll get into your ambitions in a bit there, but how is Ghana Badminton doing? Where are we now? What have you been up to? Let's say in the last year, in the first few months of 2025.
Look, we've been doing very, very great than most of the sporting federations. If you look at our sport, the hallmark has even grown beyond national and continental. Just travel back from August last year, if you recall, we won the African champions for badminton in Senegal.
Okay.
If you watch proud 2 months before August, in May, we were at the World Championships. And we placed 16th out of 64 countries, and we were the best in Africa as well. If you watch steadily, when we hosted the Region 2, which is West Africa nations, in October here in Baltimore, there were 74 medals, and Ghana got 69.
I see. That's a dominating performance.
Exactly. If you watch us in December when we hosted the President Cup, it was beautifully done at Baltimore as well. And then just in February, we were in Cameroon. In last week, we finished our national championship, which is a selection towards hosting of 5 global international tournaments this year for badminton. It's never done anywhere across the continent, and for us, we are fortunate to be able to have won the bids. So this year in July, Ghana would be hosting the African Air Badminton Championships, which is the first time ever in West Africa, of about 51 countries coming to Ghana in July. Then in August, for 21 days non-stop, we are hosting the Africa Under 15. We are hosting the Africa Air Badminton Under 15. We are hosting the Africa Schools Championship, which we have done before in 2018, in August 2018. We are also hosting the JEA Wilson Ghana International. And then we're also hosting the JEA Wilson Juniors, which the last time we hosted in Ghana, there were 37 countries here in Ghana.
I see.
We hosted it at the Bukom Gamashi Hall. So largely it's been good. We also held strengthening part of our technical officiating process towards all of this. And if viewers might know, with the last 4 years, we've graduated 2 of our technical officials on the African map. So they are now officiating African level events. So the African Games, which was held last year, we had the 2 of them trying to get to that level. And this year they are going through their assessment to go to the world stage as well. One of them is Gabriel Acheku, a teacher at Tema International School. Just next month he leaves for France for his world assessment. Just last week we graduated a total of 38 technical officials going through our coaching and technical program. Increasing our coaching level from 6 since 1962 to 247 over the last 7 years.
I see. 6 since 1960. So which means we went 30 plus years.
Oh, more than that.
More than 30.
More than that. 56 years.
Okay, with about 6.
Correct.
And then in the last 7 years, we've done this exponential explosion, if you like.
Exactly. And we are keeping up again in June, because every quarter we organize a coaching and technical officiating series. So just to build membership capacity and all of that. So for us, it's been good. We're working with our partners closely to expand the reach of what we need to do. And it's been exciting, looking at the sport and the players and the teams and all of that. Within what we need to do.
I see. Wonderful. It looks like you've been putting in the work. you've been putting in the work. But you've done all of that. You want to try your hands at a bigger task.
Correct.
You want to deal with, quote unquote, the money matters at the Ghana Olympic Committee.
Yes.
You've been part of that larger group for
12 years.
For 12 years.
Yeah.
So 12 years since 2013.
Correct.
I see. That's quite fascinating. Walk me through those 12 years.
Okay, before I get to that, I just want to say that just this year in January, we released our in badminton national ranking on our website.
Okay.
So if you go to our website right now, which if you recall last year, Ghana Badminton won the best redesigned website in Africa for all sports, including football, volleyball, hockey, and all of that.
I see.
So if you go on our website, you see the top 30 players.
What's the website?
GhanaBadminton.org.
GhanaBadminton.org.
Yeah, player rankings. You'll see our players are there. You see under 15. You see the under 19. You see the seniors.
I'm trying to open
and then you see all of that in that endeavor.
I'm sure
it will come up and then we'll move. So let me walk through the part of our Olympic committee.
Yes, because you've been part of the GOC.
Correct.
Correct. 12 years.
Correct. So I was part and parcel of the 2011 squad that we started a new reorganization with the promulgation of the SMCD 54 Act by Honorable Humado. Because Ghana was banned and we needed to separate the governance level of governance interference from what the Olympic Committee says. We graduated that, and then we moved on a bit, and then in 2017, I became the vice president of the Olympic Committee.
Okay, so for context, the 2011 era, that was what, Mr. B.T. Babe's time?
Correct.
Okay.
Correct. So that was why I said it was all the reorganization of things, and then Professor Dodo came on board.
Okay.
And then we assisted to do things we need to do. We had to get our teams into what we need to also do. Then in 2017, I became the vice president of the Olympic Committee. So with that, I was able to establish processes and procedure. And by way of background, I'm a chartered management accountant myself.
Okay.
I've been
that explains why you want to be the treasurer.
I have been in investment banking. I have been in management consulting for a while now. So largely, these things propel me to be able to assist the organization in looking at that level and pedestal for the athletes and for the coaches and for our own national federations.
I see. So when you became vice president, you were vice to whom? Mr. Ben Nunu
Yes,
Mensah. Okay.
Yes, Ben Nunu Mensah.
So you went from B.T. Baba to Professor Dodo and then you moved on to Ben Nunu Mensah.
Then within that same emblem, I became a member of the finance committee, and within a year, I was made the vice chairman of the committee, and the next year, I was made the chairman of the finance committee. So you realize that in each of these years during our general meetings and all of that, I was seeming to be vocal in trying to explain to our national federation and delegates that, look, this is what the numbers mean, and this is what we are doing to grow your sport across all the assistance that we need to give to you. If you look at among all of these teething things that we grow into, it's a moderate view of sitting in the soup and making sure that you know how it's cooked, and also having that educational tandem to be able to put up at that level.
Okay.
Let me give you one instance. Look, the treasury role is not just a normal, typical role. You're meeting with external regulators, you're meeting for compliance, and even sometimes our International Olympic Committee send external auditors to us because they always want to check the books, whether your local auditor is doing the right thing and making sure that there are no errors and it's in conformity with things that needs to be aligned with. And I have met PwC twice within this engagement that they've had with the Olympic Committee doing audit, and we passed the audit, with very high rating compared to other African countries that wasn't compared to. So largely, it is what I bring on the table. Number one is the experience. Number two is the technical know-how. Number three, and the most important facet, is our grant applications.
I see.
Look,
is that the biggest thing you want to cure?
It's three biggest things I want to cure, but that is 51% of
51% of that. So you believe that in terms of the grant application in previous years, it's not worked as well as it should
at all.
How so?
Okay, so there are levels. So every 4 years, it's called the quadrennial year in the Olympic programs. So if you pick, for example, the current one is the LA 2028.
Okay.
So we have what we call quadrennial year from 2025 to 2028.
Okay.
So it's a 4-year mark.
Yeah, okay.
So the IOC dedicated a total amount of $635 million for all the over 234 NOCs.
$635 million.
Yeah, dollars.
Dollars.
Yeah.
Okay.
Towards what we call different activities, project-based, program-based. So they've got certain programs which are meant for coaches. Certain programs are meant for athletes. Certain programs are meant for media and communication.
I see.
Certain programs are meant for infrastructure project, like what we have for Amasaman project. So largely, if you look at all of these grants, we could have done more. And then it also gives you $50,000 a year that you need to apply for admin subsidy. What it means is that you use it to run your office.
I see.
Rent, salaries, overheads, operation costs.
Okay. So 635 million USD.
Yes.
For all the NOCs.
Yes, across the world.
And of course, I'm sure when you work the math, Ghana's allocation is X amount, whatever.
Correct.
In addition to that, you mentioned a $50,000 admin grant.
Correct.
To run the office on a day-to-day.
Yeah, day-to-day. And then you see, if you take, I'll take them one by one for you and for our listeners. Let's take the admin grants. It falls under the NOC management level. And you realize that the admin grant that we receive or we have to apply for and then retire and all of that is $50K. There's also an extra $15,000, which the last 4 years we have never requested for.
Okay, but that is available.
It's available full proof.
And why have we not done so?
I think it boils down to leadership at the finance department and leadership across what it is even. You know, so there's you not knowing it and you not knowing how to apply.
Okay, so you're not knowing that $15,000 exists to help you with your activity.
Sure.
So that's one level.
That's one level.
Second level is you do know it exists.
Yes.
You just don't know how to access it.
Correct.
I see.
Because it's not just English language to write.
I see.
Yeah.
And that's what we've lacked.
We've lacked that the last 4 years. Again, if you look at other grants, like there's team grant support, there is what we call the ANOCA grant support that is held by all the NOCs in Africa have a mother body
called the ANOCA.
So it's called the ANOCA. So they also have part of the bigger chunk from the IOC. They disperse it to all the 54 NOCs across the country. So we have done that entirely every year to support these federations that we have. But largely, there are other funds that we could apply to be able to support. That's what we call sports development of sports infrastructure or sports structure. It's meant for each national federation each year to be able to allow the national federation, it's about $33,000, to be able to allow the national federation to prepare itself in terms of capacity building, in terms of coaching courses if they want to have, if there's technical courses if they want to have. We've only seen 2 of such DSS applications going through the last 4 years.
Only 2?
Correct.
I see. So what? So we are looking at, say, between 2020 and 2024, or between 2021 and 2024.
Correct.
Okay.
So that is entirely missing, and it's sad. Again, if you look at it, it's all about when we come to our general meeting. Our general meetings each year is like the shareholders meeting that we have. Consistently, you guys have been present. If you watch, our accounts have been rejected for 4 years.
I see.
Consistently. And this is public knowledge.
So rejected by...
Okay, so by the shareholders.
By the shareholders.
They say, look, the accounts is not soundproof. What you are telling us or the person presenting it does not entirely understand what he's saying. Because we have lacked that experience to be able to get it going in that endeavor.
But how come, if that's the case,
so
if 4 years you've had these consistent responses from the shareholders, how come... for a lack of a better word, how come somebody who is unskilled in numbers, in accounts, in doing all of this, how come such a person has occupied that position? Or how did the person even get to be in that office in the first place?
Well, I think that it comes from the delegates. The delegates at that time decided that this particular 18 people, there are 18 seats there. So the delegates decided that the other side, it should be that other side, and they felt that let us experiment them and see what they can do.
Okay.
At that present, that's what we felt at that 4 years back. But if you look at all of these chronicles of things that I've mentioned, you realize that you cannot come to a general meeting and accounts is either partially approved, auditors were not okayed before they were appointed. So the general meeting always shuts down the accounts department each time that we come for general assembly meeting the last 4 years. And even recently in January when we went, the accounts was rejected, largely because look, the executive committee had appointed an auditor
Okay.
And as you know, in the Companies Act and even in our own constitution at the Olympic Committee, the auditor needs to be accepted first by the General Assembly.
Okay.
Before the management can then proceed. So we said, no, let's do another EGM. So we did that in February. And then this Saturday, we're going again to now.
All in a bit to get the accounts to look good, or in a bit to, how do I even say, bring clarity
and also accountability and in line with the Companies Act.
Okay.
So if you're not that person in that space, you'll find it entirely difficult to understand how to do.
I see. So in those 4 years, you were vice president
in 2017 to 2021.
2021. Okay.
Correct.
So
and then I was chair of finance.
Okay, so between 2021 and now, you've been chair of finance?
No. 2017 to 2021, I was chair of finance.
Okay.
And I was the vice president as well.
So
Correct.
Between 2021 and now?
Yes, I am not attached to the current leadership.
Oh, I see.
Yes, but I do offer help. They will tell you, in 2022, I sat down single-handedly to redo all the accounts from end to end and build a financial statement that we were able to present to Congress. Because Congress nominated me and 2 others to be able to get the accounts fit so that we can have a proper account.
So you've looked at things from the outside.
And inside as well.
And inside, you've worked from the inside. You've worked, at least in the last 4 years, you've worked from outside in. And
Correct.
you notice that there's a certain gap.
Correct.
Gap in skill, knowledge, capacity, all of that.
Correct.
And you feel you are the right person to fill that spot.
Correct.
Quite interesting. Raymond Yamado is here with me. He's listening. Raymond, I don't know whether you're a numbers person. You're enjoying the conversation.
Yeah, I'm enjoying the conversation. I think there's a lot when it comes to availability of funds to the GOC. There's a lot when it comes to that, and I'm excited about the fact that he knows the appropriations. He knows where what should go, and the avenues available for you to apply for funds for certain things and get them. I'm excited about that. But if you look at the report that was submitted at the last Congress, the then president outlined quite a lot.
Benunu Mensah.
Oh, he's still the president.
Yeah, of course. He's still president. Yes, he hasn't left yet. He elected Congress.
Yeah, there was quite a bit in terms of financial support to federations and all.
Yeah.
And I want to believe that based on what they receive as solidarity, support and all, a lot goes to the federations.
Yes.
I want to know, he would be the best person to tell me. The sums that go to federations, are they sums that are dispersed based on the number of athletes the federations have to take care of, or it's supposed to be a figure that goes across board for all of them? Is it, because some of the figures you see based on the support that goes to federation, it's not uniform. So I want to know
why that
disparity?
Yes. Why the difference?
Look, and these are some of the quests that you push my opponent to be able to answer these questions. You don't have any answers. Look, let me give you a typical scenario based on what Raymond shared. If you look at our 2024 accounts, and it's public information, we have in GOC, don't forget, we have 26 Olympic sports and we have 14 non-Olympic sports.
26 Olympic,
Correct.
14 non-Olympic.
Correct. So there is a particular non-Olympic sport which gets 74,000 Ghana cedi, but Olympic sports, the 26 of them, don't even get 10,000 cedis.
Why is that?
You see, when we were there, what we did was to put together a performance metrics. So we graded all the Olympic sports into 3 categories. You've got category A, which was athletics and boxing between 2017 and 2021. The next badge, you have 9 other Olympic sports which are doing well. They know what they're about. They seem to get their acts together. Then the third group is normally the development Olympic sports. So they are trying to find their way, or they just came, or those kind of stuff. So when allocations, we are doing applications, we categorize that so that you have 50%, 40% going to the group A, the category A.
So in this case, athletics and boxing.
Correct. So if you saw, we funded boxing, we funded athletics in programs and activities that they were doing largely. If you come to the next group of 9 other discipline, they were getting 50% as well. And then the last category C was getting the 10%. And then in some cases, even in some of our grants, we allocate some to all the non-Olympic sports as well. I remember in 2018, we allocated 4,000 cities to each of the Olympic sports.
Okay.
Through President Ben Mensa. We did all of that. But you see, where you have a normal distribution and it's typically skewed with an end confidence level, then there's a problem. Because the question is, if you are allocating that 74,000 cities to all the 14 of them, it makes sense.
Yeah.
But if you pick one out of them, and his range is an outlier within what you find, then there's a problem. And this is why I
now
said
we're in the realm of statistics. Outliers. I like that.
Confidence.
I did maths and stat as well.
Yeah.
So if you look at all of these things, that's why I'm saying that we need to introduce our performance metrics back again. And this is something that I'm starting next month if the delegates give me the nod at the end of the month. There's even 4 applications I have shortlisted ready next month to apply, bringing in a total of $90,000 to the Olympic Committee in 3 months.
Okay.
So it's all about, I have all the programs outlined, the deadlines, the dates to apply, and all of that singled out. So if grants come, Raymond, now you're going to have an equal ratio based on the categorization that we've done. It's not grant to satisfy you, but to support you. And you see, it's not just the Olympic grants. Don't forget, we're also the CGA, Commonwealth Games Association of Ghana, which is the Commonwealth Federation, its own sort of NOC.
Yeah.
And we manage that particular team or group as well. So that's responsible for the Commonwealth Games and Commonwealth Youth Games.
Youth Games, okay.
And these are things that we also get, or we can get some, grants from that side as well to support the national federations. If you take out the bigger picture of the infrastructure grants that we have, we're going to support our Amasaman project, which has been in dwindling forces. If I say dwindling forces, the Olympia Africa, which is the foundation for the Amafama infrastructure project, which is an umbrella of ANOCA and a mother body of IOC, through the president, the current president, Ben Mensa, we were able to secure a total of $160,000 from that organization. Now, they gave us the money in November 2022 to build the Amasama. So we made proposals to build 2 tennis and volleyball.
Okay.
1 court each. And to do a football, clear the land and do football and all of that. But sir, they transferred 100,000 to us, and we were supposed to look for the next 30%. Okay. So it's a counter grant.
They provide some,
and then we also provide it. So they provide a larger bit, and we provide the smaller bit. So we're supposed to look for 48K within that emblem. Up till now, I don't see any evidence of that support that has come in terms of what GOC has done in the 48K. But the 100K that we received, sir, if you go to Amasama now, with respect, I'm not a contractor, but the land and how it has been done, and they are telling us that per their own report that they brought, chaired by my opponent, that look, $49,000 have been sunk into building polytank platform for $49,000 for volleyball.
For a polytank platform?
No, a look-alike polytank platform. So it's like this board, but it's look-alike. So it's a platform.
I see.
But then it's for volleyball and tennis. And sir, if you look at it, there was no even reinforcement. There was no iron rods in it. And the place has started cracking right from the middle.
And you know this for a fact?
It's not fact. It's an outdoor event there at Amasama Junction where they are constructing it. If you go there today, send a reporter. You will see how it is done. Then you tell us that you use $2,700 for marking athletics oval, the lines.
Okay. If the lines on a running track.
Correct. It's sand, so it's like bush. If you go there today, you will not see the running tracks. Okay, let's take it that rains have washed it. But at least you and I have drawn lines in our villages before for running. I should see some small hole looking circular or runabout. Chairman, it's growing bushy in that environment. So you see, it's all about trying to make sure that, yes, there is money, but we have to try and make sure that there's work that is being done. And don't forget, the proposal is inclusive of a sports hall.
Okay.
And we are being told that there's $20,000 left that will push it into the sports hall. Look, I'm saying that it just doesn't make sense. You were able to put $49,000 in the platform, and now you want to put $20,000 in the sports hall. So you see, it's not about crying the hook, but for us, we look at what can we do to salvage the situation quickly. If delegates gives us the nod, it's about trying to make sure that you ring fence what the project scope is,
okay,
and survive and gain what it needs to be done.
I see.
So for me, that's what we are looking to solve the problem.
But Nathan, to get into a bit of that, when we went to Congress, the Congress report as presented by Benu Numenta
yes,
dealt with the project.
Okay, and what did it say?
And he said as at January 2025, a total amount of $79,161,000 had been spent on the completion of phase 1.
Okay.
This included architectural design and drawings, clearing and leveling and preparation of site, marking of the football pitch, construction and fixing of football goalpost and grassing, marking of the running tracks, construction of a tennis court, construction of basketball and volleyball courts. So all of these things, he spent almost $80,000.
Yep.
So if we go to Amasaman today, we should see all of these things for ourselves based on how much has been spent.
Yes.
So if Evans is saying if we go there today, we are not going to see all of these, then maybe we'll
also have to go independently verify.
But the question I wanted to ask,
yes, please.
I wanted to ask, the GOC, Nathan, it almost seems all the support they get, the priority for them is scholarship for athletes. It's always about getting scholarships for athletes, giving them money. No, that because you look at the financial statement and it cuts across.
Yeah.
Athletes receiving support, 4,000, 6,000. Even the guy who does that skeleton, is it skeletal?
Yeah.
Does it?
Boss line.
Yeah, a lot of money.
Boss line and
a lot of money goes there. Is it just about securing scholarships?
No. Like I did mention,
we see a lot of that.
Yes, there's a total of 56 grants at the IOC, different levels. Akwesi Frimpong Sport is a winter sport, inclusive of alpine skiing.
Alpine skiing.
Those are winter sports. So the normal Olympics you and I go are the summer sports. Those are 26 different disciplines. So the IOC has a grant to support athletes who are on the winter program.
Okay.
Through scholarships. The scholarship doesn't mean they'll give the money to you to go and buy wache. It means it's paying for your travel, air flight, to pay for your accommodation, and to pay for your equipment,
so you can take part in
the competition. So they buy the tickets and all of that. So if you take the winter sports, we now have 2 of them, and that's what we've been thriving on in that endeavor. Now, largely all of these things is not about grants. Look, what I'm bringing on board is just very simple. 3 things. Number 1, we've spoken about the grants. Number 2, we've spoken about how we are going to inculcate the national federations into capacity building and mass communication or marketing communication. So what are we going to do? The GOC website needs a serious remodeling.
Okay.
It's not in touch with what is available at this moment. The management of it will entirely change, and it's going to be designed and done by a responsive site, which is responsive to the needs of our national federations and the general public.
But what has been what is the current situation?
No, if I say I'm going to analyze the site and tell you what it is, it's not responsive to the national federation. For example, if I go there and I click on boxing, I should be able to see boxing performances the last 3 years, 2 years, 4 years. I should see boxing plans the next 2 years or 1 year. If I go there and I click badminton, it should link me to the Ghana Badminton website, just a hyperlink, and then be able to from there roll and move. There are a total of almost 9 federations who have websites in Ghana, only 9. And out of the 9, only 3 of them are functioning well. So
of the many sporting federations, from what you're saying, 9 have websites.
Correct.
Out of the 9, only 3 function.
Yes.
So that's about 30% of the number.
Correct.
If my math is correct, my math is not the best.
Correct.
So about 30%.
Correct.
Okay, so and that's what one of the things you want to change.
Yes. Is to you see, Treasury is not just management of financial accountability and all of that, which I've done 12 years with the GOC, but it's about being responsive to the needs of the national federations as well. So if boxing already has a website, and we just link it to the Olympic Committee's website, it's clear information for sponsors, it's clear information for the whole ecosystem of the sporting industry.
Okay.
So that is missing currently. You've got socials and walls that sometimes if you go to the walls that we have, obituaries are posted and in and out, and no, it's not there. It's not somebody's personal property. So there's a need to be able to outline that. And let me tell you, there's a grant for that. There's a $15,000 to be able to do that NOC management programs there, and it includes of websites that you can use and enhance. So there's no money now we are going to write sponsorship letter or whatever.
The money exists.
We just have to provide a proposal that will be able to come when it comes.
So the gap is now between seeing the money and touching the money, literally.
Correct. So all of these things have to be built within that touch. And if you look at the theme of even our current website, it's not befitting us. So it's a whole reset procedure that is going to change within that level. And if you know, I'm also a telecom ICT professional. So that is really going to bring that out for us to be able to make things digitalized and change mass communication. For example, you have, most times you hear of us only when we are going for Olympic Games or Commonwealth Games.
Yeah, for most people, yes. They only
that's when they come about GOC and blah, blah, GOC this, GOC that. But there's a need
and of course the politics. We'll get to the politics.
It's there. And of course it's also important that our budgets are discussed with the ministry far ahead. Look, we know we are going to Senegal in 2026, October. And by now we should be discussing budgets with the ministry, knowing how government works. We should be discussing that with them. We know there are 9 federations which are on top tier to qualify for the Youth Olympics. Don't forget, Ghana made the first Youth Olympics in Singapore in 2010. Then we followed up 2014 in China with Matabisa's gold only that we've had. Then we've not been able to make success when we went to, Argentina in 2018, which I was the team leader in CDM.
Okay.
Then you came back to 2022 in Trinidad and Tobago, which we could not even send enough athletes because we were not on time, we didn't prepare early, the responsiveness was not there. So it's about changing all of that. And if you want more teams to qualify, and don't forget there's also a grant for Youth Olympic Games qualification grant.
Okay.
And these are things that are available.
So there's money for a lot of things.
That's why I said there are 51 grants available. We just have to apply for it. And that's what I bring on board, because if you look at all of these things, I've done it before. I have sat and done all of these things, meeting with government, meeting with corporate, meeting with all the things that we need to do. And for us, it provides us at that level that we need to rescue that department. And that's what I bring on board.
I mean, look, all well and good, all these plans. Do you have an idea? Because you won't work in isolation. You have to work with a general secretary, president, an entire leadership team, all of that. How have you thought of that, and potentially who you could be working with, and what kind of relationships are you courting now to ensure that if you win, you can still get support irrespective of who heads the org? Because
not to interject you, but if you look at the GOC, I support Akpokavi Richard 101%.
I see.
I have worked with him before for close to 8 years at the GOC. As Secretary General that he was, I have seen what he brings on the table, and his vision is clear, and we are supporting into that vision.
Okay.
If you look at the Secretary General role, I'm supporting Sanun Mohammed Sanun. He's got the experience, and he's got what support that he will need to run that office. If you look at much of the things that happen in our secretariat, he needs that support from all the wings to be able to climb, to move. And I believe that once I'm there, I'll be able to push him, and we support and we get things going. Richard already knows. I learned a lot from him, so he knows the left and the right of things that we need to be able to get on to go. Again, if you look at all of these people that I'm supporting, I have a core team of national federations who are running behind us and who are with us, a total of 26 of them, both non-Olympic and Olympic sports. If you look at all of these people, their request is what I have put together.
Okay. So these are people you've spoken with?
Not only spoken with, these are people I have worked with even during African Games. If you saw Badminton, African Games, we were we were everywhere supporting every federation.
I see.
And for me, because I've done multiple games across the globe before, not just African games, we've done
youth games. You mentioned you were CDM.
We've done a lot of it. We've done Commonwealth Games. We've done youth games in Botswana, Gaborone in 2014. We've done a lot of things. Rio 2016. We've assisted teams in all of that. So all of these things was important to bring that tacit knowledge back home. But if you look at all of these quests that they have, so if you meet volleyball, they tell you, look, this is my request, this is what I think I need. And one of the key things the first 90 days for us and to Richard administration is to run capacity building programs for our national federations executives.
I've heard that phrase a lot of times.
But we've done it.
In my time, in this profession. You've heard a lot of, every federation, we are doing capacity building, but as you go along, you wonder how much capacity has actually been built.
Okay.
And then from the stories we cover, you tend to ask yourself, so what's the guarantee that by the time your era ends,
this will happen?
We'll see a clear difference between the before and after.
Okay, so when I was there in 2017 to 2021 as vice president and chair of finance, we did a lot of these things. Now the IOC have moved to a level and a platform called Athlete 365. It's an online app and platform, so any capacity building projects you're doing, whether workshop, conferences, the participants have to feed in, and there's a KPI of what the results indicators are. Again, most of the IFs, the international federations, the last 4 years have liaised with what we call the World Academy of Sport. It's an online education platform.
Okay.
So the World Academy of Sports, for example, if you take badminton, has a total of 5 different school, if I'll put, that is offering certification programs. Okay. That is a mandatory
modules, training modules
that you can be able to get going, and you are certified immediately you finish. If you don't pass, then it's your village people. But largely, it is.
You can pass. You should pass.
You should pass.
I like that.
So you do the physical, which is in Ghana, and then you do the online. So it gives KPI that you yourself will input. So that's one clear benchmark of how we are going to gauge ourselves in capacity building programs. And most of even our own national federations need more education about Olympic solidarity and who qualifies and who does not qualify. Again, if you look at it, qualification is not the mandate of the Olympic Committee.
Okay.
So badminton is going to Youth Olympics. We began our qualifications last year in August. Because badminton is a racket sport, so you have to build points. It's not like a one-off like the combat sports, most of them. It is the duty of the National Federation to enhance its own qualification method. The Olympic Committee only comes in to assist you.
I see.
So you have to liaise with your government and figure out how the plan will fit within the scope.
Do the federations understand this dynamic?
That's why I said that there's a need to increase the level of capacity building to these our national federations. And these are all the checklists that as we went around, they keep telling us that, look, we don't know this, we've not heard this, we don't know that, we don't know that.
I see.
One more thing which is critical, I spoke about website redefinition. It's not just a website, but it's a web mail. So you should be able to have easy access to email, web mail. In 10 seconds these days, you can sit on your laptop and just generate. So that GOC can communicate well with these national federations. Because the emails sometimes get stuffy with the current system that we are in.
Yeah, that is true. I remember a few months ago, we had rugby league here, and they recounted how they wanted, or the National Sports Authority asked them to submit some documentation, and they asked whether they could send them via email, and they were told no. They had to travel all the way with heaps of papers
and send it to them
to submit.
So we're moving away from that scope to a digital platform. And for example, when we are going for multi-sport events and journalists have to apply for accreditation, those that needs to go through the GOC shouldn't be a hard process for everything. But these are things that we should work in timelines for the games organizers. Senegal is coming up in 2026, and I'm telling you, look, they've started. You know, there's even a CDM meeting that must come off in May ending. There are things that are getting on in speed that we need to catch up with. But it requires somebody with a team that have the tenacity, experience to be able to get these things going. It's not the Treasury Department is not an experimental phase, especially with where we are at this moment. But I bring that on board to be able to move the level of the national federations that needs to be able to do better. Okay,
as we wrap up, you said something, and let's stay there. You said as you went around, you were sampling opinions and speaking with national federations and all.
Yes.
National federations and all.
Yeah.
I just, what sense, and I don't know, well, I'll ask you this anyway.
Sure.
Since you're here, I'll ask you this.
Sure.
What do you think the federations make of the last 4 years under Benunu Mensah? So much so that Benunu Mensah is not contesting. I don't know,
Correct.
for whatever reason he says he's not contesting.
Correct.
But I just want to ask you, when you sample the opinions of federations, what can you distill in terms of their own assessment of the last 4 years under Benunu Mensah?
The first one is about unity. If you don't have it, forget it. I mean, there were too many leg out of the door during this current administration.
I see.
They see that, look, we need to be unified in most of our processes, in our thoughts, and in our communication, so then we don't get things to do. The second point is there's too much what about ado when it comes to accounts at the GOC.
I see.
So they don't understand clarity. They can't also sort of ask in certain meetings. So
They can't ask questions?
no, not that, in certain meetings.
In certain meetings.
Correct, because they don't know who to ask, and if they're asking, they are not getting the right technical answers. So that is a major issue for them. The third one is, why can't we seek corporate sponsorship in bigger amounts? Look, let me tell you, in 2016, when the team was going to Rio, GOC single-handedly funded the Rio Olympic trip without any government support.
Okay.
I remember Professor Dodo, Richard, myself, Chrissy Sophie, we were at GMPC pushing them, and they bought the tickets for the team. We went to another company, they paid for this one paid for that, and we're able to get, and what is massively, my brother, which is missing for us, is our apparels.
Okay.
We don't have a clear brand communication when it comes to our apparels.
How so? What's caused it? Why is that thing happening?
I've been to about 8 multi-sport events for the country. And if you look at other countries, I'm not mentioning the developed countries. That's Australia, I don't even watch them. They have 3 containers full of suitcases for the athletes. Every day there's a program of what you wear for morning, afternoon, and evening, and all of that. The point is that we've not been consistent with it. So we're working with this brand, and tomorrow we're changing to this, tomorrow we're doing that. No, it doesn't work that way. So your athlete, you see, when you wear your jersey or your tracksuit, chairman, you feel good, and it gives you some level of motivation. That is something we would make sure that we strengthen as soon as possible. Again, coming back to what the federation see, the administration. Look, he did well under the circumstance in terms of looking at the Amasaman project, how he went about it, especially with securing of the land title. It wasn't easy. It's not been an easy task, and it's not.
Benunu Mensah talks about that a lot.
Yeah,
talks about the complexity.
No, it's very complex. You know, for that 16-acre land there in Amasaman, it's just by the roadside, Stadium Junction. It's just there on the right. Again, they also talk about things that we could do better at Amasaman. And if you look at even the sports, National Federation's distribution of funds, as our brother did mention, there's no clear-cut, categorization as to why Adjoa Federation got this versus volleyball or badminton getting this. I hope you get me. Because sometimes the figures are very skewed. If you look at last year's figures, a particular sport got 353,000 Ghana cedi, whilst other sports get 14,000 cedis.
That's a huge difference.
Exactly. So then it doesn't mean there's something entirely wrong, but then it's giving us an outlier of things that. So these are things that will strengthen immediately, so that everybody gets, obia bedidi, obia benya kakra, and then basically we keep up with with those things that we need to do. Again, if I'm summing up.
Yeah. I don't know. Ray, you have a question.
You have
one last one. Okay, let him sum up.
It was just about most of the federations. So one of the concerns one federation member raised was that, look, we don't get any support from GOC all through the course of the year. Then getting to competitions, GOC suddenly shows up and gives us peanuts and says, oh, go and do well, go and bring us medals. And then GOC would load them with officials from the executive body to follow them to tournaments and all. Why do you do this? Is it a challenge for GOC to support the federations all right through. From start all through? But we always see them support late in the day. Why is it so?
It all comes to planning, and who understands what needs to be there. If you look at what we have done, we have drawn up our 4-year plan for this Olympic cycle. And we clearly know, like I did mention, Youth Olympics, I've given you the dates, the time and everything. So if I know there are 3 applications that I can do for the 9 disciplines who are earmarked to qualify. All the 26 sports, everybody can qualify. But you have to earmark those that can or have the potential. So these 9 federations are a priority to assist them with those applications so that it comes in early, and then we are able to administer these particular funds to them. Other than waiting till they have to go to Senegal, they have to go to Thailand, they have to go to Italy, and then you have to chase left, right, and center in last-minute fold. So for me, it's all about planning and who are sitting behind the table. Like I said, Richard brings enough experience of all of these Olympic solidarity. Don't forget, he's also an arbiter at CAS. So he sits at CAS on the appeal panel. He's almost 37 years at the bar of being a lawyer. And we all know the massive credentials he's done with hockey for the country, for his federation, and all of that. So for us, it's good. And then that direction is what we are supporting with that manifesto plan. And that's what we on the Treasury side are tapping into and inculcating what our own personal experiences and all that comes into being.
I see.
For things that will go on.
Mr. Pukavi is going unopposed as you speak.
No, he's not.
He's been challenged.
No, yesterday, yes.
He has a challenge.
Yesterday, we saw that one of our colleagues, the former Gulf president, has also indicated that he will be contesting.
Okay. But I think it's a matter of. It's just a matter of time. I think it's overwhelming front runner. What I've gathered, I think Mr. Pukavi.
We'll have to wait and see. I mean, Mr. Yeboah has told us that, of course, he's with team at Pukavi, so we wait to see.
From like you're saying, from what I picked, he seems to be the overwhelming favorite. In fact, among the federations, he seems to be the one they seem to be talking about a lot. And the credentials clearly speak for itself.
Well, we'll see. Evans, when is the Congress? At the end of the month?
26th
of April. I see. Interesting.
But there is an extraordinary Congress coming out this Saturday. I said just to go through the accounts.
The same Tony issue of accounts.
Because if you don't bring the right thing, we would most entirely reject it.
But Nathan, for Evans and his team, you see, when we are campaigning, we see all the sweet things. But when it gets the work proper,
when the rubber meets
then the language changes.
It doesn't.
Federations start crying. Then
I think that Raymond, I understand you, but if it was our first time coming to that office, then maybe that theoretical view can hold. But if you test the hypothesis of what we've done in 2017 to 2021, we've been there before. We understand what needs to be done. Like I told you, I wasn't just possibly an ordinary executive board member. I was a vice president. I was the chair of finance. So I knew round one what we're doing and what we need to push for. So for me, those are the things that we bring within that endeavor, and then we keep up with what would happen in that space.
Well, as for us, we'll be here.
Yeah, we are all stakeholders. So
if it doesn't go,
we'll observe.
As you have promised.
Draw your
hit us back.
And we want to believe that this time around, when we are going for the Olympics, our athletes will get good preparation, proper preparation.
You see, the first thing is qualification. If you realize
proper preparation to qualify.
Correct.
Because just like football,
our
footballers all year round are playing matches. They are getting ready to play for the national team and playing football games.
Yeah.
But when it comes to athletes, you don't see them doing so much. But when it gets to the tournament proper, you want them to go and challenge.
2 weeks.
Because there are lots of meets. There are lots of meets on the athletics calendar year.
But
you see them feature in just 1 or 2. Once the people they are going to compete against are featuring in almost all of them.
That comes into a national sports discussion.
Yes, so we want to believe that. You see, don't give Ghanaians hope of going to win medals. You are going to win medals for us when we know we haven't put in the needed work.
You do just.
And let's not put pressure on the kids.
Yeah.
The athletes to go and deliver medals, because when we watch the 4x100. The last Olympics, Ghanaians were disappointed. They felt, oh, come on, the boys should have done better. But look, the question is, how much work did we do on these boys to get them to go and deliver medals?
Yeah.
So we want to believe that the new GOC whilst riding on the back of these athletes to send Ghana to Olympics and other, the Commonwealth Games and all, we want to see you help the federations develop the talents, develop the athletes. Let whatever support you can give them, let's give them support so that some of these guys can live their dreams. Because it's sad to hear that an athlete who is trying to compete at the Olympics has to find other ways of surviving, driving cars and all, just to earn a living to go and compete for the nation. I mean, all of these things don't tell a good story.
I think that when we have met with the new minister, we've had several discussions. It's left up to put in the right policies, and we've assured him that we'll give him that support that he needs, and then we'll give our national federations to that push that we need to get going.
And we want to see a lot of our athletes stay here and train. We have been sending them to the US. Send them to the US. We always send them to the US. Scholarship US.
Let me tell you.
But we are seeing the American athletes and we are seeing our Ghanaian athletes.
Correct.
But we are seeing Chile Tibogo who stayed in his country.
Yeah.
So it is possible we can also have our own Tibogo.
Yeah. Mariam won the bronze medal for badminton in Nigeria. She's been in Nigeria all along.
Yeah. So we want our homegrown solutions and homegrown training and development for athletes.
Now there are some infrastructure available after the African Games. So for some sports, it's mandatory that you can do most of it here.
Yes.
We've got the Mondo track, we've got the badminton hall about Boteman, we've got a handball, we've got a swimming pool, for some sports it can be done here.
So let them take the scholarship to Legon and have a fine academic athletics structure, balance. And then let's get the best out of them. Let them go for African competitions. Let them go to the meets. Give them competition. We want to see homegrown solutions. Because I mean, we've consistently sent them abroad.
Yes.
How many titles do we have to show?
It's exciting.